How do you destroy an entire automotive empire for the price of a single house in the US? This isn't a Hollywood detective plot. This is the real story of the ARO brand. These brutal Romanian off-roaders broke through the Iron Curtain, conquered the sands of the Paris-Dakar rally, and became the direct ancestors of the modern Dacia Duster. They survived the brutal dictatorship of Ceaușescu and forced the West to buy socialist cars instead of Land Rovers or Jeeps. They were bought in 110 countries around the world. But instead of global domination, this grand dream was cut short by one brazen scam. Today, we're digging up the forgotten history of ARO, how a utilitarian machine built for the Carpathian Mountains almost conquered the world, and why there is nothing left of it but dust. Engage four-wheel drive. We are starting right now. After World War II, Romania found itself under the control of the Soviet Union. The country was mostly agrarian, and roads in the mountainous Carpathian regions were practically non-existent. Ordinary cars simply didn't survive there. At first, the Romanians assembled primitive Soviet military all-terrain vehicles at an old paper mill in the city of Câmpulon. These were crude machines. Parts were literally hammered out on wooden blocks, and the windshield wipers were hand-operated. A real nightmare for the driver in the rain. But the Romanians wanted more. In the 1960s, with Nicolae Ceaușescu coming to power, Romania decided to become more independent from Moscow. They needed hard currency, which meant they needed an export product. And so, the idea of creating their own modern off-roader was born. The brand was named ARO, an abbreviation for Auto Romania. The real breakthrough happened in 1972, when the world saw the ARO 24. For the socialist camp, this was a spaceship. Instead of just copying old army jeeps, Romanian engineers created a car that was ahead of its time. While many Western competitors were still using rigid axles, the ARO 24 featured independent front suspension. This meant it was incredibly tough off-road, capable of climbing 70% inclines and crossing 60-centimeter deep water, but it still remained comfortable on regular asphalt. It was an early hint at what we call an SUV today. It was simple inside, but offered dozens of modifications, from open beach convertibles to rugged pickup trucks. But there was also a very special exclusive. While ordinary Romanians dreamed of just getting a basic car, the dictator, Nicolae Ceaușescu, ordered special, lengthened versions for himself and his security team. The ARO 304 and 306. They had leather interiors, air conditioning, more powerful engines, and huge sunroofs, from which the dictator could stand and greet the crowds during military parades. But for regular buyers, there was a catch. While the engineering was brilliant, the communist factory assembly was a disaster. There was a popular joke among locals. When you bought a brand new ARO, your first trip wasn't to the mountains, it was to your garage to retighten every single bolt yourself. It was the ultimate DIY off-roader. And then, the incredible happened. Despite the build quality, about 80% of all AROs produced were exported. To please Western buyers, the Romanians installed diesel engines from Peugeot and later from Volkswagen and Ford. The car was so successful that European countries started buying licenses to build it themselves. In Spain, it was assembled as the Hisparo. In Portugal, it was produced under the name Portaro. And this wasn't just a copy for farmers. In 1983, the Portuguese Portaro entered the toughest rally in the world, the Paris-Dakar, and sensationally finished 10th in the overall standings, proving its reliability in the harshest conditions on the planet. Later, the company released a compact version, the ARO 10. If you live in Europe, you've definitely seen the modern Dacia Duster on the roads. It's an absolute hit and a top seller. But did you know that the original Duster name appeared back in the 1980s? It was under the name Dacia Duster that the Romanian ARO 10 was successfully sold in the UK. It was the true grandfather of today's budget bestseller. But the fairy tale ended in 1989. The communist regime fell, and Romania opened its borders to the free market. The former monopolist suddenly faced a massive influx of used Western cars. The ARO factory was left without government funding. Build quality dropped even further, the old models became terribly outdated, and there was simply no money to develop new ones. In a desperate attempt to survive, the factory even tried building military vehicles. They created the ARO Dragon, a heavy armored beast that looked straight out of a Mad Max movie. But even military contracts couldn't save them from the crushing debt. The last hope, which turned into a massive scandal, appeared in the early 2000s. An American investor named John Perez bought the factory for a laughable $600,000, an amount that would barely buy a nice house in the US. He promised mountains of gold to bring modernized AROs to the American market under the Crosslander brand, featuring a powerful Ford V6 engine. But instead of massive investments, a scam took place. The new owner allegedly just sold off all the valuable equipment and documentation, leaving thousands of locals out of a job. And this scam didn't just hurt the Romanian workers. Hundreds of ordinary Americans actually put down hard cash deposits at local dealerships, eagerly waiting for their affordable Crosslander 5.6. They never saw the cars, and many never saw their money again. In 2006, the once great factory was officially declared bankrupt. Today, the workshops in Kempelung have turned into an industrial park. The ARO empire has fallen. However, for European off-road enthusiasts, these machines have become a cult classic. It's a unique example of how engineering talent managed to break through the Iron Curtain, challenge Western brands, and leave a bright mark on automotive history. Would you like to take a ride in such an old-school off-roader? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our new automotive stories.